All right, so you've sent over a ton of information about repainting your home this spring,
Yeah.
and we're going to go through it all together today
Yeah.
and figure out what the biggest takeaways are for homeowners
That's good.
who are thinking about tackling a project like this.
Absolutely.
We've got articles, we've got blog posts, we've got expert opinions.
Yeah, it looks like a good mix.
Yeah, definitely a good mix.
Right.
So as I was going through everything, a few key things really stood out to me.
Okay.
We're going to talk about why the weather in spring
Okay.
is often considered ideal for painting,
Right?
why a fresh coat of paint isn't just about aesthetics, but actually protects your home,
Right.
and then how all of this affects your curb appeal and potentially even the value of your property.
Absolutely.
We're also going to dig into why the type of paint you choose matters so much.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to skimp on quality there.
Exactly.
It makes a big difference in the long run.
And then we'll even uncover some surprising ways that repainting can save you energy.
Oh, yeah, there's some interesting stuff there.
And of course, how all of this ties into being a smart homeowner
Right. Thinking long term.
and taking care of your investment.
Absolutely. Preventative maintenance is key.
So let's start with the basics.
Okay. So,
okay. Why is spring often considered the prime time to paint?
Well, when it comes to exterior painting,
Uh-huh.
it all boils down to the right conditions.
Okay.
And spring usually hits that sweet spot.
Makes sense.
Your sources all emphasize the need for moderate temperatures,
Yeah.
ideally between 50 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, so not too hot, not too cold.
Exactly, and there's a really interesting reason for that.
Okay, I'm curious.
Think of it like this. Paint needs to cure properly.
Uh-huh.
It's a chemical process that allows it to adhere and form a durable layer.
Okay.
Now, if it's too cold, that process slows down way too much.
Ah, I see.
And you end up with poor adhesion, meaning the paint won't stick properly.
Got it.
But on the flip side, if it's too hot, the paint can dry too quickly on the surface. But underneath it might still be wet.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
And that trapped moisture can lead to cracking and peeling later on.
So it needs time to kind of breathe and settle.
Exactly. It's got to be just right.
Makes sense.
Like Goldilocks in the porridge.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
And humidity seems to be another big factor.
Absolutely. Humidity is crucial for paint adhesion and even drying.
Okay.
High humidity means there's a lot of moisture in the air,
Yeah.
and that can really mess things up.
In what way?
Well, first, it extends the drying time of the paint.
Okay.
And that longer drying period makes it more prone to all sorts of problems.
Like what?
You can get streaks blistering and even mildew growth in some cases.
Yeah.
Spring generally offers that drier air,
Okay.
allowing the paint to cure properly and form a strong bond with the surface.
So it's almost like trying to apply a sticker to a wet surface.
Exactly. It just won't stick, right?
It'll slide around and get messed up.
Exactly.
One of the sources also mentioned longer daylight hours as a benefit in spring.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
It seems pretty obvious, but how does that actually help with a paint job?
It's more about practicality,
Okay.
but it makes a big difference for the painting crews.
Okay.
Longer days simply mean more time to work,
Yeah,
so the project can get done quicker,
that makes sense.
with less disruption to your daily routine.
Yeah.
Plus, they're not rushing to finish as the sun goes down,
Right.
which can affect the quality of the work.
So it's all about efficiency and having enough time to do it right.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of timing, a lot of these sources cautioned against painting in the summer.
Yeah, you really want to avoid that intense heat, if possible.
It sounds like that can be a recipe for disaster.
It definitely can.
Why is that?
Remember how we talked about paint needing to cure properly?
Uh-huh.
Well, that scorching summer heat causes the paint to dry way too fast.
Okay.
And that prevents the paint film from forming a strong, cohesive structure.
Oh, so it gets that kind of brittle texture.
Exactly. And that makes it much more susceptible to peeling and cracking down the road.
So it's better to wait for those milder temperatures.
Definitely. Spring gives the paint the best chance to adhere and cure properly.
And in the long run, that means a paint job that lasts longer.
Absolutely. You're setting yourself up for success.
Okay, so spring offers that ideal combination of temperature, humidity, and daylight. But a fresh coat of paint does more than just make our homes look good, right?
Oh, yeah. There's a whole lot more to it than just aesthetics.
Let's talk about those protective benefits.
All right, so it's fascinating how something as simple as paint can act as a shield for your home's exterior.
Yeah.
The sources really emphasize its role in protecting against those spring rains.
Okay.
You know, if your existing paint is cracked, peeling, or just worn out, It creates these little pathways for water to get in,
Oh, I see.
and that moisture can lead to a whole bunch of problems.
Like what kind of problems?
Well, you can get mold and mildew growth.
That's never good.
Yeah. Definitely not. And even more serious things like wood rot.
That sounds pretty serious.
It can compromise the structural integrity of your home.
So a fresh coat of paint is like putting a waterproof jacket on your house.
Exactly. It seals out that damaging moisture.
Okay. And it's not just rain we have to worry about, right?
Nope. The sun can be just as damaging.
Really?
Oh yeah, those UV rays, they can do a number on your paint.
How so?
Just like prolonged sun exposure damages our skin.
Uh-huh.
It breaks down those pigments and binders in the paint over time.
Interesting.
So you start to see fading that chalky residue you sometimes see on older houses.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And eventually it leads to cracking and the paint losing its grip.
So it's not just about the color fading, it's about the paint itself breaking down.
Exactly.
Mm.
And a good quality exterior paint, particularly when applied in the spring,
Uh-huh.
can really shield against that UV damage.
So the color stays vibrant longer.
Yeah, and the paint itself stays intact.
Now here's a benefit I found really interesting and a little surprising.
Okay, tell me more.
It seems a fresh coat of paint can even help with pest control,
Oh yeah, that's right.
specifically termites.
Uh-huh.
How does that work?
It's all about access points.
Okay.
Termites and other wood-boring pests love exposed or damaged wood.
Makes sense.
And if your paint is chipping or peeling,
Huh?
it creates those vulnerable spots.
So by sealing everything up,
Exactly.
you're making it harder for those pests to get in.
Right, it's like shutting the door on them.
That's a great analogy.
And it can save you a lot of trouble and expense down the line.
Definitely worth considering.
Uh-huh.
Now let's move on to something that really caught my eye.
Okay, what's that?
The idea that repainting can actually improve your home's energy efficiency.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
I'm curious to learn more about that.
All right, so this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The sources talk about how lighter colored paints on your exterior walls can help keep your home cooler.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's all about reflecting sunlight.
So lighter colors act like a mirror.
Sort of. They have a higher solar reflectance index.
What does that mean?
It means they bounce back a larger portion of the sun's energy
Okay.
instead of absorbing it as heat.
I see.
So less heat is transferred into your home,
Uh-huh.
which can reduce the load on your AC system.
And that means lower energy bills.
Exactly. And the potential savings can be significant.
How significant are we talking?
Some studies suggest 10 to 15%.
Wow, that's not insignificant at all.
Nope, it adds up over time.
So choosing the right color is not just about aesthetics.
Right. It can actually impact your energy consumption.
And it's not just about reflecting heat either, is it?
No, there's more to it.
The sources also mentioned something about sealing cracks and gaps during the painting process.
Oh yeah, that's another key factor.
How does that tie into energy efficiency?
Think about it like this.
Mm.
When you're prepping for painting, you're filling in all those tiny cracks and gaps
Right.
around windows, doors, siding.
Uh-huh. And that makes a big difference in terms of insulation. Okay.
You're basically reducing air infiltration.
Which is?
It's that uncontrolled flow of air between the inside and outside of your home.
So you're stopping drafts.
Yeah, exactly.
And by minimizing those drafts,
Yeah.
you're making it easier for your heating and cooling system to maintain a comfortable temperature.
Right? So you save energy year-round, not just in the summer.
Makes sense.
It also helps prevent thermal bridging.
Thermal bridging.
It's when heat transfers more easily through those gaps in the insulation.
Oh, so it's like creating a more solid barrier.
Exactly. You're plugging up those leaks.
So we've got protection from the elements, pest control, and energy savings.
A pretty impressive package.
Definitely a lot more to it than meets the eye. And speaking of how things look,
Right. Let's talk about curb appeal.
let's talk about how a fresh coat of paint can really boost a home's value.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one, especially if you're thinking of selling.
Uh-huh.
The sources are clear on this.
Yeah.
A newly painted house just looks more appealing.
Right, it's that first impression. Exactly.
It makes it look modern, well-maintained, inviting.
Like you've taken pride in your property.
Absolutely. And buyers definitely notice that.
I bet they do.
And it can translate into real dollars.
Okay, I'm all ears.
The studies you provided suggest that homes with updated exteriors,
Uh-huh.
often including a fresh coat of paint in appealing colors,
Okay.
can sell for 3 to 5% more.
Wow, that's not nothing.
Nope. It's a significant return on your investment.
So it's not just a cosmetic expense.
Right. It's an investment in your property's value.
Now, color choice seems to be really important here.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about what you personally like.
Right. You have to think about what appeals to a wider audience.
Exactly. You want to maximize that potential value increase.
So what are some of the key things to consider when picking colors?
Well, the sources highlight the enduring popularity of classic neutrals.
Like what?
Think light gray beige taupe.
Okay, those are pretty safe bets.
Yeah, they tend to have broad appeal,
Uh-huh.
and they don't go out of style quickly.
Timeless glass.
Exactly.
What else?
Well, we're also seeing a trend towards more nature-inspired hues.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Soft greens, calming blues, earthy browns.
Okay, those sound nice.
Yeah, they create a welcoming and harmonious feel.
And for those who want something a little bolder,
Mm-hmm.
what are the options?
Accent colors are a great way to add personality.
Okay.
Think navy or black on trims and doors.
Oh, I like that it's like adding a little pop.
Yeah, it's a nice touch, especially for modern homes.
So you have to balance personal preference with what's going to appeal to the market.
Absolutely, and you also have to consider the style of your home.
Right. Different styles call for different color palettes.
Exactly. A traditional home might look best with softer, more classic colors,
Uh-huh.
while a modern home can handle bolder contrasts and more contemporary hues.
And what about the neighborhood?
Oh yeah, that's important too.
You don't want your house to stick out like a sore thumb.
Exactly. You want to complement the surrounding homes.
Create the sense of harmony.
Right, you want your home to stand out, but for the right reasons.
So we've talked about when to paint
Right, timing.
and why spraying offers so many advantages.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about the paint itself.
Okay, what?
The sources you shared really emphasize the importance of using high-quality paint.
Oh yeah, that's a non-negotiable.
Why is that so important?
Well, trying to save a few bucks on paint can end up costing you way more in the long run.
How so?
Premium paints are designed to last.
Uh-huh.
They have higher concentrations of pigments and resins.
Okay. Okay, and what does that do?
It means better color retention.
So the color stays true longer?
Exactly.
What else?
Better adhesion, so it sticks to the surface properly.
Uh-huh.
Enhanced weather resistance, so it can withstand the elements.
Okay.
And that all-important elastomeric quality.
What's that?
It's the paint's ability to stretch and contract with temperature changes without cracking.
So it's flexible.
Yeah, it can handle those fluctuations.
And cheaper paints don't have that.
Not to the same extent.
So what has?
They tend to degrade faster. You get more fading, more cracking, and they're more susceptible to mildew growth.
So you end up repainting sooner.
Exactly. And that means more time, more money, more hassle.
So it's a false economy to go with the cheapest option.
Absolutely. You get what you pay for.
And how long can a good quality paint job actually last?
The sources say upwards of 10 years or even longer.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
It is, especially when you consider how much protection and beauty it provides.
Now, we talked earlier about energy efficiency,
Right.
but I think it's worth revisiting that specifically in relation to paint color.
Absolutely. It's a key point.
So just to recap, lighter colors reflect more sunlight,
Right.
which helps keep your home cooler in the summer.
Exactly.
And that translates into those energy savings we discussed.
10 to 15% potentially.
And darker colors do the opposite.
Yeah, they absorb more heat.
So if you're looking to be energy conscious,
Uh-huh.
lighter shades are the way to go.
Generally speaking, yes.
Now, beyond the obvious benefits, it seems like there are some more subtle advantages to repainting,
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
especially when it comes to overall home maintenance.
Right. It's about being proactive.
So let's talk about those hidden benefits.
All right. So remember how we talked about paint acting as a sealant?
Uh-huh. Keeping the moisture out.
Exactly. And that's a huge part of home maintenance.
Okay, how so?
By keeping water out, you're preventing all sorts of problems.
Like?
Structural damage from water seeping in mold and mildew growth inside your walls,
Yeah.
and wood rot.
Okay, those are all biggies.
Yeah, and they can be really expensive to fix if you let them get out of hand.
So it's much better to prevent them in the first place.
Absolutely. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
And we see that connection to pest control again here.
Uh-huh.
By sealing up those entry points,
Right.
you're not just keeping out moisture, you're also deterring pests.
Exactly. Those little critters love to exploit any openings they can find.
Especially those that are attracted to wood.
Termites, carpenter ants, you name it.
So it's a 2-for-1 benefit?
Exactly. Protection from the elements and protection from pests.
And I think one of the most important things here is that addressing paint issues early on can save you a lot of headaches and expenses down the line.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's all about catching those small problems before
Right.
they turn into big ones.
If you see cracking, peeling any signs of damage,
Uh-huh. You want to take care of it sooner rather than later.
definitely, it's much easier and cheaper to fix a small problem.
Than to deal with a major repair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like going to the dentist for regular checkups.
Okay, I get it.
It's preventative maintenance for your home's exterior.
So spring repainting is really about more than just aesthetics.
Right.
It's an important part of responsible home ownership.
It's an investment in your property
Right.
and in your peace of mind.
Now, for those who are convinced that this is the right move,
Okay.
what are some practical tips for achieving the best results?
Well, the sources emphasize several key factors.
All right, let's hear them.
The first and most important is hiring experienced and reputable professionals.
Makes sense.
You don't want to trust just anyone with your home.
So how do you find the right people?
Well, a good starting point is to look for companies with a long history in your area.
Okay, so experience matters.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And look for positive customer reviews.
Right, word of mouth is always a good indicator.
For example, one of your sources mentioned Roe Painting in Meridian, Idaho.
Uh-huh.
They've been serving the community for over 40 years.
Since 1985.
That's right.
That's a long track record.
It is, and that kind of longevity often speaks volumes about a company's reliability and expertise.
So what else should homeowners consider when choosing a contractor?
It's crucial to have a detailed conversation about the paint they're going to use.
Okay,
You want to make sure they're using high-quality, weather-resistant products.
right, something that's suitable for the local climate
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask about the specific brands they recommend.
and why they recommend them.
Exactly. A reputable contractor will be happy to explain their reasoning.
And it's not just about the paint itself, right?
No, the preparation is just as important.
Okay, so tell me about that.
Proper surface preparation is key for a long-lasting paint job.
Uh-huh.
That means thorough cleaning to remove dirt, mildew, any loose paint, sanding to create a smooth surface,
Uh-huh.
and priming if necessary.
So it's all about creating a good foundation for the paint.
Exactly. It's like building a house, you need a solid base.
And finally, the sources recommend asking about warranties.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
What kind of warranties should homeowners expect?
You should look for warranties that cover both the workmanship and the paint itself.
Okay, so 2 separate warranties.
Ideal, yes.
And what's a typical time frame for those warranties?
Well, the information you provided mentioned that Roe Painting offers a 5-year warranty for residential exteriors.
Okay, that's pretty substantial.
It is. And they offer a 1-year warranty for commercial and industrial projects.
So those warranties really show that the contractor stands behind their work.
Absolutely. It's a sign of confidence in their skills and the materials they use.
So to sum it all up,
Okay.
if you're thinking about a spring exterior repaint,
Yeah.
you're tapping into those ideal weather conditions.
Right.
You're giving your home added protection from the elements and pests.
Absolutely.
You're boosting curb appeal and potentially increasing your property value.
Uh-huh.
And you're even taking steps towards energy efficiency.
Not to mention all those hidden benefits of preventative maintenance.
Right. Catching those small problems before they become big ones.
It's a win-win all around.
And to get the best results,
Yeah.
it comes down to choosing the right time, investing in quality paint,
Uh-huh.
and partnering with experienced professionals.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So you've done your research.
Nah.
You've gathered all this information.
Yep.
Now it's time to take action.
Put that knowledge to good use.
Exactly.
All right.
So as you look at your own home, what's one area that stands out to you now? Maybe you've noticed some peeling paint,
Yeah.
or maybe you're rethinking your color choices.
Uh,
Whatever it is, take a moment to consider what small step you can take today
Right.
to protect and enhance your investment.
It's about more than just a fresh coat of paint.
It's about making smart choices that will benefit you for years to come.
Absolutely.
So get out there and make your home shine.
And enjoy all those benefits.
That's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
It was a good one.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time.
See you later. Bye.